So this person says, I destroyed my sperm. My V is too tight and I hate my implants. So this is a biological male who decided to transition into being a transgender, which I don't believe a man could ever be a woman. That would be offensive to women who sacrifice every single day, every single month to be able to have the ability to give birth to the next generation, nurture, love, and all those things. There's just such beauty to being a lady. So I will never say that a man is a woman, because it's just not true. But I do want to watch some of this story because it is very insightful. This biological male transitioned when he was only 13. His family had said, maybe we should wait, but they still allowed him to do so. And this is why parenting is important. And as someone I've heard people note, it is child abuse to put your children through something like transitioning. It's an abuse. It's child neglect, because children do not have the mental capacity yet to be able to make such life-changing and life-altering decisions.
I think that children should be allowed to transition. I think they should have access to transgender healthcare, but I think that the diligence that's needed to give children this healthcare needs to be so thorough, because had I realized I was a lesbian when I was younger, there are certain decisions that I did make that I definitely wouldn't have made, and there are things that I can never take back, and these are things that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life.
So he says that he is a lesbian, but in all reality, he had all of his, man parts and things like that, and then it's just such a tough situation because he went through puberty, and that's what so he's not really, is he really a lesbian? I don't know, because technically he's a man, but now he has found out, he went through that transition process, and now he found out that he actually does like women. So he didn't want to date men at all. He actually found out he liked women, and now he regrets it.
Things is that I was forced against my will when I was 13 to store sperm manually in a women's hospital.
And y'all may hear that sort of knocking sound. I think it's because he has his phone put on maybe a stand that's not stable or something. So that's what you're hearing.
My parents told me that I had to do this in order to get on hormone replacement therapy. Now, there was another version of this, which was a biopsy, which is when I would have been put to sleep, take a bit of testicular tissue, store it, and create gametes later that way. This level of trauma that I endured from having to do that manually always stuck with me. And it's
self-inflicted trauma that your parents and you decided to go through. So you'll notice kind of like this victim lens that he uses, but at the end of the day, nobody forced him to transition. But his parents did not stop him. And that's why parenthood is such a responsibility. So when I hear that Dwayne Wade's friends are saying he's expressing agape love to his son, I don't believe that's agape love. To allow your son to make such a life-changing, life-altering decision that is destroying his body, that will make it to where he will not be able to have children, he will not be able to experience life in a healthy and normal way, is not agape love. That is promoting what so many people actually feel, which this man is about to get into.
Bullied and harassed by men for as long as I can remember. Grown men.
So he chose to transition because he was bullied. Keep that in mind. I don't know what Zaya's gone through. There's a lot of people who may feel like Zaya out there. And everybody has a story for why they went through what they went through. That's why listening to other people's perspective, whether you agree with it or not, is important, because if you understand the why, you're able to prevent people going through something like this in the future. Okay?
I always centered men and their opinions of me in terms of my self-worth. I thought if I can get men to love me, want me, think I'm beautiful, I will be healed. I will be lovable. I will be safe. Now, that led me to as soon as I turned 18, to destroy that sperm that I had. Not only for that, but because of all of the trauma tied to it. Now I'm realizing later in life that I'm a lesbian. And I am so in love, more in love than I have ever been in my life. I could have had my own biological child with her. I see her baby pictures, I see my baby pictures, and I think of what could have been. And unless you're transgender, you will never understand how truly heartbreaking that is.
That's sad. Because he went through the whole transgender process at 13 years old. Zaya was 12. And he's a little bit older than Zaya. And he's now decided he does want to have sex with a woman and get pregnant with her. But he never will have that opportunity. He looks at her baby picture and he looks at his baby pictures. And he's like, wow, we would have made a good couple. We would have had good children together, cute children together, good looking, attractive children. But unfortunately, because he made that decision, he does not have that opportunity. That's why you have to tell people the truth, especially when they're so young, so that they can avoid making such life-altering decisions. That's why videos like this are important. Because if we don't start tapping into what's happening in culture, having real life conversations, I'm telling you, we are just going to see more and more children go through this. And we're going to continue to see a decline in the birth rates in America. You already see that Americans are not having enough children. You're seeing illegal immigrants come over here and they're replacing American citizens as we speak. Or not anymore because President Trump, thank God. But we know that a lot of illegals are over here. And they're replacing our population. And it's because we're allowing sicknesses like this to continue to infect our society. And the thing is people like this just want to be heard. This man has just said he dealt with bullying. People were making him feel less than, like he wasn't lovable. And it started to make him hate himself. And self-hate led him to this decision. We have to start listening and understanding people. And then as you listen and you understand, praying and asking God how he can use you to make a difference in that person's life. Because I don't want to see people continue to fall through the cracks like this young man who wants to have children, who will never be able to have kids. That is a sad reality.
And for so long, the idea of being a biological child the idea of being a biological father grossed me out so much. But that was because I had it trapped in my head that I needed to be with a man. I never wanted a man. I wanted men to want me, to feed this insatiable validation from men. But the thing is, that validation is an abyss. It was never enough. It was never enough. The things I did to get men's validation, I don't even want to talk about. I pushed myself to get gender confirmation surgery as soon as I could, as quick as I could without even thinking about it. As soon as I turned 18, I had my surgery booked. This was by a doctor in Melbourne who did the inversion method. Now, being on blockers since I was 13 years old, I did not have nearly enough tissue available to create a functioning vagina. But my parents were able to pay for it. It was quick, it was there, it was easy. But my mum said...
Shame on the parents. That was not right. I wonder if he's told his parents that he wishes that he wouldn't have done that.
Why not wait? Why does it have to be right now? Just give it time. I don't know if... I think maybe some time might be valuable. And looking back, I really do think that maybe some time was valuable. I was a virgin when I had my surgery. I didn't know anything about myself in terms of sex and what I liked and what I didn't like and what I enjoyed. So had I known a lot of these things, honestly, I would have waited and gotten a different version of the surgery altogether. My sexual health has always been an issue for me in terms of...
There's no different version of the surgery. More than likely, that young man wouldn't have even gone through the surgery. And he would be a dad right now. He would be potentially a husband right now. That's the reality of the situation. But the parents heard their child saying at a young age, 13 years old, that they were feeling like they were this gender when they were really that gender, and they just went with it. And to me, it's just like, okay, you got to have conversations, really explain these things. And it can be uncomfortable and hard. But that's the thing, is you don't want your kids ending up like this. So you want to lovingly tell them the truth.
My parents down there, how I feel about the function of my actual vagina. Only a very expensive surgery in Thailand can actually fix this. And the reality is, these are a lot of adult themes that I truly did not understand at that age. And due to a lot of the trauma that I had that was left unresolved and that wasn't dealt with, I have to pay the price now. And this is, again, not to say that children should not transition, but I do think that diligence...
No, children should not transition. I'll say it for you. I know you don't want to say it. It's all right. I got it. I'll let you know. Children should not transition.
Really has to be done. Having actually been shown genuine love for the first time in my life, I've dealt with a lot of shit that I've not spoken about. I've been in an abusive relationship for 2 years before I met this girl. And my fucking childhood, which I've only touched the surface of. There are so many things that I would have accepted about myself that I wouldn't have gone and fucked with. For example, these massive fucking implants. Since starting Taekwondo, I actually look at my body as a machine that functions for me, that has a job that I'm thankful for, not something in the mirror that I pick apart every single day and just think about what should change and what shouldn't change. I'm a human being who's deserving of love, who's deserving of health, who's deserving of feeling confident about myself. I'm not some fucking picture on the wall where I should think about what needs changing and what doesn't need changing. I wouldn't have done this.
Wow.
Now,
Think about that. Please listen. Because I know somebody may be in the comment section who's, oh, Dwayne Wade is doing the right thing. It may look like that now, but Zaya's only 18 years old. Imagine the burden a parent has to carry after years of going through these surgeries with that child, and then their child says, man, I regret this. So we got to pray for that, for the Wade family. Because that's really a tough place to be. And we don't know what Zaya's future holds. We don't know what he'll decide if he wants to. We don't know. But that is a big burden to carry.
with this. Now in order to fix this, I'm going to have scars all over my chest. Again, my purpose of talking about all of this is the reality of I don't want to just be a girl with big boobs in a bikini on Instagram or walking around in videos wearing next to nothing for my OS page. I actually want to talk about the things that I've been through, and I actually want to contribute something to the trans community and the research, because the reality is people as young as me transitioning, we're guinea pigs.
I think that this person, and I'm praying for their salvation, I bet if this person really falls in love with Christ, they would be a champion in the Christian faith, in leading trans people to know Christ. I could just tell, because you can tell that this person is starting to go through this. They're thinking about it and they realize how bad this decision was and how much they regret it. And these are the type of videos that need to be shared. This is a real issue happening in our society today.
We're the first of the generation. There is still so much that they don't know about being trans. And I would be doing such a disservice if I didn't share all of this information with you guys. Again, I'm for children transitioning, but I'm just saying that there are things that need...
Children should not transition, but okay.
What about there are things that need to be investigated? And it is so hard when you come out so young, because male puberty and female puberty is a ticking time bomb. And there are certain things that can never be reversed if you don't transition. But I have to give the facts, and I have to talk about my experience. Because there are...
Thank you for giving the facts. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I just wouldn't be experiencing. A lot of the ways I viewed things was due to my upbringing. And I think that there's just so many things that need to be investigated when it comes to transition, especially minors transitioning. And I don't think that I think minors should be able to transition, as I've said 100 times. But I think...
You can tell he doesn't really believe that minors should transition. He's saying that to be nice. Nice, quote unquote. That's not what he really believes. And he's literally telling us that 100 times. But it may take him some time to admit it. But I get you. I get what you're saying.
Certain things that really, honestly, need to be delved through.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching this episode of the Tamera Nealy Show. I know today's topic was deep and real. You know, it was deep, right? But we've got to have conversations like this, because at the end of the day, when you understand the why, you're able to better help people and assist them in their healing process. Because the truth is that childhood trauma happens. Things happen. And you want to be able to deal with those things in a healthy way so that you're able to have a better life. And unfortunately, what I see happening with Dwayne Wade is putting a Band-Aid on a deeper issue that only could, and probably, unfortunately, potentially could get way worse, okay? And so my hope and my prayer is that Dwayne Wade starts to really stop this. I hope Dwayne Wade stops the campaigning, stops these tours of exploiting his child. Because that's what it is. It's exploiting his child, who's now 18 years old. And hopefully they start having real conversations, because we don't know what goes on in the house, in their house. But they're influencing other people around the world. So my prayer is that young people know the truth, and the truth sets them free so that they can be able to be great role models for the next generation that is to look up to them. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and you'll hear from me soon, okay?